So I tried earlier today to record John's sermon, and the camera ran out of batteries after about 2 minutes. So this is take 2 of John's sermon on December 16th, 2012.
There's a saying that goes, it's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. Now, I'm all for celebrating joy, but sometimes the only honest thing we can do is throw up our hands and say, damn it, this is not the way things are supposed to be. This is not the way things have to be. However, our current holiday season, the Christmas season, is widely seen as a time only for lighting candles and sharing holiday cheer. It's got a brand that would make Apple and Google blush. In popular consciousness, Christmas is almost solely associated with sensual and spiritual delights. Goodwill, peace on earth, generosity, time with family, and crackling fires, colorful lights, roasting chestnuts, although I've never actually seen or heard of anyone roasting chestnuts in real life.
And this is where John gets schooled by the whole congregation when they tell him that they have all experienced roasted chestnuts before.
I'm very ignorant about this. And then there's, of course, the bacchanal of gift-giving. Now, as a child, this was certainly my view on things. Christmas left the other holidays in the dust. It was the best time of year. In the days leading up to Christmas, I would go through catalogs of toys and sports fan paraphernalia, circling everything I wanted. Big puffy jackets and beanbag chairs, autographed footballs, remote-controlled cars and trampolines, the list went on. And the price tag I'd added up at the end would always be in the thousands, sometimes as high as 10,000. I realized I probably wouldn't be able to get that from my family members, so I would go through and eliminate a few things, and the price would go down a little bit, and eventually I'd narrow it down to about $80, which I figured I could cobble together in presents from family and friends. The season all culminated on Christmas morning when my brother and sister and I would gather at the top of our stairs in a brilliant flash of aggressive fighting and jostling to be first person down the stairs, for no other achievement than to be the first to lay our eyes on the bounty of gifts before us. Now, most of us have warm, fuzzy memories of Christmas like this. And on top of that, the religious themes leading up to Christmas tend to be focused on the heartwarming as well. Joy, peace, love, hope. Church folks celebrate the season for its reminder that God never abandons us. And rightly so, but this is not the whole story of Christmas, on a personal level or on a spiritual level. Alongside the delight of the season often hovers a shadow of darkness. The day before the school shooting, which was just a couple days ago, I was reading this list of poems in the Bible that's called the Psalms. I was in kind of a dark place emotionally that morning, maybe because I live in Seattle and there's a perpetual twilight. But I became captivated by a few lines in the 22nd Psalm. The poet, the writer, says this: I am poured out like water, and all my bones are weak. My heart is like wax melting within my chest. My strength is broken as a shard of poetry, and my mouth is dry. I am laid in the dust of death. The sheer agony of these words captured my heart, and after I heard about the shooting, the next day I went back and I found these words again. They were not soothing to me, but they were powerful because they spoke so eloquently the words that I felt inside and couldn't express for myself. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are weak. My heart is like wax melting within my breast. My strength is broken as a shard of pottery, and my mouth is dry. I am laying in the dust of death. For some of us, the cheeriness of Christmas can throw into sharper contrast the awful events that rage on all around us. The slaughter of children in the school shooting, the monstrosity of human potential and weapons of violence in a culture that generates such madness. There's suffering happening all around us in the world due to political and economic upheaval and war. There's an existential threat of climate change that some people still deny. And in addition to these global issues, many of us struggle during this season with personal issues of our own. Some of us struggle with the perpetual twilight, the darkness, in this time of year. The cold and the rain weighs heavy on our souls. Some of us struggle with depression not of the seasonal variety. This season, with all its activities and cheeriness, can actually amplify the exhaustion at putting one foot in front of the other and highlight a baseline sadness all the more. For some, the season can bring up grief about the loss of a loved one, people who have died or who, for reasons of time and distance, conflict and circumstance, might be removed from our lives. Memories of Christmas past that where joys can become ashes in our mouths when we realize that we cannot remember them alongside the people who are no longer with us. We cannot retell our favorite stories and get interrupted by the person who says, no, that's not how it went like this, or who fills in the gaps in our memory. Many of us simply struggle to get out of bed in the morning, overwhelmed by these things which cast a longer shadow because of the Christmas lights blazing around us. And yet this darkness is not the whole story either. The truth is that neither darkness nor light is the whole story. The story is mixed. The story of our personal experience is both darkness and light. The spiritual story is both too. Even Christmas, which popular culture has made into a warm, fuzzy tale, takes place within a context of horrible, brutal circumstances. It's a story about a scandalized family, babies on the way, but they're not married, who are members of an oppressed cultural and religious group, the Jews, under the thumb of the Roman Empire, hunted by a killer king who's going around slaughtering babies looking for them, and who's forced outside their village by a census. And the purpose of the census was to collect tax money. Now this would be tax money that these people who are in this oppressed group would use, that the empire would use to fund the army, the same group that was holding them down. They were forced to pay taxes into. And this family ends up needing to have a baby in a filthy manger without the support of relatives and neighbors. It is a miserable context that forms the backdrop of the primary symbol of divine presence with us in the Christian tradition. In the midst of deepest darkness, there shines the brightest light. Not only the light of the star overhead, the angels and the miracle, but also the light of a supportive community which spontaneously forms in the midst of isolation and separation. This poor family of Joseph, Miriam, and Yeshua, that's Joseph, Mary, and Jesus, are separated from relatives and neighbors outside of their hometown in Nazareth, down in Bethlehem. And yet sheep herders and wise men and angels, and according to the yard displays I've seen, a plethora of farm animals, surround them in their deepest moment of need. Can you imagine a family 2,000 years ago having a baby and expecting that all those around them would come and support them and enable the process, and here they are alone? But they are not alone. The symbolic meaning of Christmas is that God appears in the loneliest places, but also that community can appear there too. Yet in a world that privileges single-sentence philosophies, like pessimistic doomsdayism or bumper sticker optimism, it is a challenging thing to grapple honestly with both the light and the darkness. What we need, I believe, is a path of courage. Courage is to face the void and to dance above it. Courage is to lament the horrific and to cherish the beautiful. Courage is to name the monsters and to name the saints. Courage is accepting that wounds of loss and grief cannot be erased and still affirming that healing is a real possibility. Courage is acknowledging that the dark cavern of suffering cannot be explained away, but affirms that we can shine light into its depths and know that not all is lost. Courage is not foolhardishly staying the course with determination. Courage is the audacity to take off our blinders and see the whole story. Love and hate, joy and sorrow, hope and doubt, peace and violence, and planting your flag on the side of light. So where can we find this courage to affirm love and light in spite of shadow and suffering? Well, one, we can find it in ourselves. We are made in the marvelous image of God. You have within you multitudes unknown, a capacity to survive and to thrive, a strength in your deepest soul to live wondrously. And yet we don't believe this, and so we must turn to others and to our source to remind us of who we really are. We need community to fan the flame of courage, and that's what we're trying to do at Valley Mountain. We're trying to create a community like the Ragtag Band that transcended ethnic, religious, and even species boundaries that came around Miriam, Yosef, and Yeshua in the manger, to surround each other in love when we falter, and to be courageous for us when we cannot be for ourselves. And we can root ourselves in the power that dwells within and beyond us, the power that breathes forth the universe and that ties all things together in a fabric of interdependence. It is this power that we see personified in the Christmas story, the power of pure love appearing in darkness and community appearing in isolation. It was the power within Jesus who looked the abyss in the eyes and quoted the words of anguish from Psalm 22 on the cross, and yet still said, "Father, forgive them." And whose first words when he rose again were not, "Let's get back my murderers," but "Peace I give to you." It is the legacy and the spirit of this power and courage that is alive today in those who offer food to the hungry, care to the dying, those who cry out for peace in times of war and for gun control even in the violence-obsessed United States, and those who work to build up beauty and warmth in the darkest and coldest places. May we help each other to be people of this power, of this spirit, of this story, people of courage. Amen.